Hi, I'm Mara Davis with the unconventional host of Get Delicious. It's Jim Stacy. Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
Now, I watched your first Get Delicious when you went to Cheshire Bridge Road.
Sure.
And you went to some of the random places. Like, I've always wanted to try the Red Snapper. Never went. Saw you there.
Well, see, it wasn't really random. The way I picked my restaurants for the first show was my wife and I love little mom and pop places, and we love real traditional places. You know, I have a background in barbecue growing up and chefing and have my own restaurants and stuff, but it's the traditional stuff that I really love. And Atlanta just happens to be full of that. And people just kind of forget that. So what Get Delicious was originally was just our favorite restaurants, but they kind of fell into they had kind of a thread that ran through them when I got to really examining what I liked about them, and it was the fact that they had anchored transitional neighborhoods, and they were located in places that had no business having a restaurant in it. There's no reason an old lady meeting three has survived on Cheshire Bridge Road for 70 years. And that'd be the colonnade. Well, yeah.
I mean, it's good.
And there's a reason. And there's no reason that like Nuevo Laredo should have done well in the middle of a bunch of warehouses. But it did.
Because it's good.
Exactly. And so the common thread was not only was it basic, was it good, was it rock solid, but there was something that it provided to the community.
Okay. So let's talk about your new show, because you're doing a new edition on Ponce, Get Delicious again.
Yeah. And what this was just the logical next step, where I touched on ethnic food in the first show. This is all ethnic food.
Okay.
So I get really tired of hearing people talk about how there's not an international footprint in Atlanta.
Oh, there is.
And
who's complaining?
Man, I've heard a million people
Who
say.
doesn't know that?
I've heard a million people say, "Well, you don't have a Little Italy, you don't have a Koreatown.
Okay.
We don't have a Chinatown."
Definitely have
Guess
Korea
what?
and China.
Guess what? We don't have a Chinatown. We've got 8 or 10 miles
of Chinatown.
of
No
Chinatown,
doubt.
Koreatown. You know, Cambodian, Malaysian. And it goes for miles. And I felt like people don't know about it because Buford Highway is a little bit intimidating. All right.
It is intimidating. So are you focusing on Buford Highway, or
it's Buford Highway, the corridor around it, and some of the infill in town.
Got it.
Like Buford Highway, the restaurant corridor that I look at as Buford Highway also spills over into North Druid Hills and Peachtree Industrial. And then we have, on the south side, we have Jonesboro Road, which is exactly like Buford Highway was 25 years ago.
So around there, that would be, is it mostly Mexican restaurants out that way?
Jonesboro Road? No, Jonesboro Road has got Vietnamese, Korean, Latin. I mean, there's some Peruvian, there's some Mexican.
So when you go to some of these restaurants, you mentioned Peruvian. Did you eat? What do they eat? Do they eat like guinea pigs or something?
No. Well, there's different. I mean, you're always going to have some sort of item like that.
I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to give a shock value. Like, oh, did you eat that?
I know.
But I know that's a delicacy.
Yeah, it is. And here at Atlanta, no.
Okay.
And I didn't do anything Peruvian on this show, though I love Peruvian food.
So would you eat it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you have no
I'll
problem
try
with that.
anything once, and sometimes more than once. I regularly eat tripe, just because I tried it once and realized, how much I loved it.
Now let's talk about you for a minute. You own a corn dog food truck.
Yeah, I run Palookaville. It's a gourmet corn dog and carnival food. Carnival food. Yeah.
Now, what do you think about the rise of all these food trucks?
I think it's great. I think it's great. I think just like anything else, like rock and roll, like art, I think you have initial trailblazers, and I think you have people that kind of come along and kind of carpet bag it, kind of phone it in. Right. I think we've got I think the initial wave is really strong, and that's where we are right now. I'm not sure where it's going to go from here. I kind of wish the city had a little bit more concise plan for it. Okay. Coming up, because it's been telegraphed for years.
Well, it seems
it's been coming.
It seems to be blowing up now.
I'm a little bit different because my truck, I try to keep my truck at festivals because it's the whole carnival food thing, and it's weird to me.
Jimmer, you seem like a carnival guy to me.
Oh yeah, I'm a
You're like the carnival. You're like the carnival barker.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I feel terrible for saying this, but as I look at you, and when I looked at you on the show, when I watched the show the first time, so I'm meeting you the first time, I just want to...
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
I'm not...
I'm a Santa Claus too, so I mean, I'm a Santa Claus.
You never thought of shaving it, or is that like your look? That's like your thing?
I'm a Santa Claus as well. It bleaches out white at Christmas, and I'm a Santa Claus. So,
okay.
So I keep it year round.
So this is money.
Well, it's not. It's just it's my personality.
Well, so wait, the kids at Christmas aren't intimidated by Santa with with body of tattoos.
I'm wearing my Santa suit.
Okay.
I'm not going to.
You're not a flashing Santa.
No, Santa Claus has got long sleeves on. Wears gloves.
Okay.
To tell you the truth, it's like it's just like anything else. They call me an unconventional host on PBA 30 or whatever. And yeah, it's right. I'm not what you would think of as public television host, and I'm not what you think of as maybe food show host, but I'm exactly what you think of when you think of a chef. And when you go into a kitchen, everybody that's working in that kitchen is going to look like a pirate like me, because it's kind of what it is.
So that means you like.
So I think that I'm coming from the environment I come from.
You're the perfect person.
I'm the perfect person.
I agree.
To speak to that.
I think you're great at it. So you got that chef mentality. Does that mean you just stay up late and get drunk?
Well, sure, I've been known to do that,
okay.
But I mean. I can't really talk about that in conjunction with this show.
Getting Delicious, part 2.
Yeah, Get Delicious Again.
Get Delicious Again.
Yeah.
And it'll run a Sunday night, but I know the way they are, PBA, it's going to run.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is public television, so whatever product they have, they run it and run it and run it because it's a shoestring.
And that's great for you.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Because years later,
it
continues to go on.
Who it's best for are the restaurants that are on there, because that was one of the things too that needs to be said. Is one of my goals with this was to provide an outlet and a publicity for these places. We're losing this stuff. We lose this stuff in this city right and left, and we don't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
And that's what's a shame. We've lost some really dear culinary treasures in this town, and nobody even stopped to shed a tear about it. Now, some people did, but there was no record of it. Right. And so for me, I wanted to get a lot of these things. I wanted to support them, and I wanted to get the word out, and I wanted people to remember that they were still here, and I wanted people to remember that they had eaten at the Colonnade with their grandparents, and they had forgotten all about it, and they hadn't been there in 30 years.
Right.
That's a pretty astounding thing to be able to do.
So look at what you and your beard are doing together.
Yeah, it's the beard's fault.
We'll definitely be watching and eating with you.
Yeah, sure.
It's nice to meet you, Jim.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me. No.
Sorry, I just had to pet it again.